All right, hello everybody. My name is Dylan. I am part of Some Nobodies. This is Twitching Upstream. Normally, what we do on Twitching Upstream is we have my writing partner, Zach, and I. He's the better talker of the two of us, and we kind of take an idea that we've worked on our other show and we spin it into something that's a bit more developed. Zach's taking a break this week. He's got to take some rest, so I am going to be filling in with one of these writing episodes that I do sometimes. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. So, what kind of the basic idea is that I have a screenplay that I'm working on. It's based on D&D, or not, because it's a copyright thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and pop this screen on there, and you can see right here, got about 35 pages of a screenplay going, and the point of this stream is to show literally what it looks like when you put words down. I'm relatively amateur. I'm not paid to do this, and I don't expect this script to be sold, partially because I'm putting it out there publicly, which is a major kind of like issue that you can run into when you try and sell a screenplay, is whether people have seen or read the entire thing publicly. So this is mostly just for my own practice and as a tool to keep this project going so we don't have to do reruns while one of us take a break. So as a huge nerd, what I'm doing right here is just writing a D&D screenplay. Like, that's pretty much it. It's about a party of adventurers who take a job. They compete with other adventures. They fight monsters. There's a dragon involved. There are a few dungeons. Some D&D references are made so that way the people who are fans of the game can point at the screen and go, oh, I recognize that. Because that's why we're using an established intellectual property as opposed to just making this in our own setting. So basically what we've done so far, and it has been so long since I've worked on this, so we're going to go back through the storyline and just kind of see what we can figure out is going on. So it follows the crew of the skyship Wanderlust, which is like a techno magic skyship. It's like an airplane, in effect, whatever. It's like the Weatherlight from Magic the Gathering. You've got Dodd, he's a human rogue. You have Fist of Bronze, he's a warforged monk. You have Elm, who is a wizard, not a wizard. She's an elf. I think I made her a sword singer. She's a bish, which is the combination of martial and magic, so that she can flip around and do sword stuff. And she's, sharp-toothed, mean elf. You have Harlock and Marion, the twin tieflings, who are magic users. We're going baseline magic users because in order to avoid getting too into the D&D rule set, we're going to have some references, and one of them is effectively a warlock, one of them is just a wizard. And they hang out on their ship. They go to Greyhawk, which is this big city that is divided between the magic users and the non-magic users. We are pulling a little bit from the old 1999 or 2000s Dungeons and Dragons movie with Jeremy Irons. We are pulling some character names. We're pulling some real basic storyline stuff, because the original pitch of this was that Zach and I were taking part in a podcast where we had to pitch remakes in like a bracket style tournament. So the first one was we had to pitch a remake of Cape Fear, which we did as a superhero legal thriller. We had to pitch Citizen Kane, which we did as kind of like the self-indulgent nonsense Hollywood massive production. And then we had to pitch a remake of the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was a bit of a weird decision in retrospect, only because that movie was such a bizarre happening, and it doesn't really have a whole lot to remake. So this just kind of turned into a catch-all D&D movie. And this stream is really just so you can see what it looks like to put words in a screenplay. And it's also an excuse for me to get some practice in because I am, again, a prose writer primarily. I don't do a whole lot of scripts. I do some podcasting, audio drama stuff. You can find all of our Some Nobodies things, but most of the time we're doing I'm doing prose or technical writing. So they arrive in Greyhawk, the city, realize that they get paid for their job. Where you see that some of them have struggles. The two tieflings have some weird parentage issues because tieflings, your parents are partial fiends, so they're born of they have a fiendish parent and a human other parent. Fist of Bronze is mistrusted because he is a construct, or they are a construct. I think I was using masculine pronouns for the robot. They go to the Citadel, where we see that the assembly of the Common Council and the what is it? The High Senate are arguing over how to handle how Greyhawk deals with the magic problem. We're using Savina and Profion as names because those are names from the old D&D movie. We're using Damodar as a name for one of the other guys because it's in the old D&D movie. They go to the Damodar's bar. They get into a bar fight because a bar fight is classic D&D nonsense. And they get a job to go to a wizard tower because it's heard that the wizard tower has unlocked, and the wizard is just like, hey, loot whatever you want. If you can make it in and make it out, you get whatever you take. And this is Mordenkainen, who is a D&D kind of mainstay character. So there's some big stuff that could potentially show up in here. And there's a little bit of a love interest with Damodar's kid, his daughter, and of course Damodar's going to turn out to be the bad guy in the end. So you have a little bit of character conflict between, I don't want to be your partner and also the guy responsible for your dad's death, even though he deserved it. But we'll get to that in a second. We just finished out Act 1 last time, and I honestly do not remember the last time I did a stream like this, but you can see Dodd and Savina. She shows up on their ship. She's like, hey, you're an adventuring team. I need an adventuring team to really break into this wizard tower. You want to do it? They're like, nah, we already have a contract, so we're just going to do it on our own. Because some of them don't have very high opinions of politicians, because some things are true across genres. But the Wanderlust, they have a little talk. You get all of your characters together. You have this team building moment. There's a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy in here, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the closest Marvel has ever come to properly emulating what it would be like to see a D&D group in action. Everybody has their own role. They all contribute. Everybody talks all the time. Nobody shuts up. It's great. So Fist of Bronze is like, yeah, we did our last job like that. Dodd is like, if you guys aren't into it, then we don't have to do it. But the pay is very good. And we're running a little low on cash because after that run-in with the dragon, which is how we open the movie, we got to get enough to recover the ship. And we got enough to actually feed us. So here we go. We have a little touching moment with Dodd and Harlock. Harlock is, of course, the warlock, gets their powers from their demon dad. We don't know that yet. That's going to come into play later when there's a little bit of a Chekhov's gun situation going into there, and then it's going to be a potential sequel hook. But of course, this is never going to get made, and there's never going to be a sequel. So this is just to kind of just show you how to structure something like that. They were watching a rival skyship crew load up. They're talking about the threats they may face, explosive runes, some animated guardians, stuff like that. Harlock leaves down the stairs. We've transitioned into the next bit. Let me remind myself how to actually write a goddamn screenplay. Okay. Exterior, Greyhawk. Not Greyhawk. Greyhawk. Let's see. Skyship, dock, morning. Skyship crews ready their ships for departure. Wings unfold. Fuel lines are twist, plunk, untwisted. Glowing crystals lowered by crane. Ships prepare for A day on the wind. Uh, let's see. So we're at this point, I think in the outline, we're effectively ready for the next kind of like intro to the second act action scene, which is going to be we have a little transition thing. The Wanderlust, no, exterior Wanderlust deck. Nope, doesn't need to be day. Apparently, for let's see, there we go. For screenplays, if it is like a continuation of a scene, you don't have to specify the time of day. Um, God walks onto main deck. Uh, now we're gonna go. Dodd ascends stairs from below decks. Crew is readying the Wanderlust for departure. God, let's see. And the thing I like, I'm using Writer Duet right here, which is a they have a free option, but I paid for the subscription because it has a lot of really good writer tools for it, especially for screenplays. Because the thing about screenplays is that if you're trying to actually sell something, you need the format to be like right just so. If it's not, you run the risk of someone being like, "Oh, this amateur doesn't know what they're doing," and that may be the case, but here we are. So, Dodd is going to ask, let's see, Dodd into, let's see, parentheticals, into Sending Stone. How's the engine levels holding? Bronze, uh, interior, Wanderlust, engine room, fist of bronze. Let's see. What do we want the mechanics of this skyship engine to look like? I really liked in the Netflix original movie, South Korean film called Space Sweepers. They do this weird thing where the engine has a bellows that the guy has to operate, and I thought that was a really good way of having someone physically have to manage the engine. Fist of Bronze, grips an engine pylon and twists it into the mounting. He reads a nearby pressure gauge. Green is good. Fist of Bronze says levels reading normal, Captain. All clear for ignition. Uh, we're doing kind of that opening of what I'm trying to hit is the opening scene of any sort of like spacefaring action thing, like Serenity, The Expanse, Space Sweepers does it, where you kind of follow the crew through the ship and you see everybody doing their thing. It's going to be a peaceful mirror to the opening scene where you follow everybody through the ship because they're fighting goblins off. So this time they are getting the ship ready. Exterior, Wanderlust, exterior. No, we're gonna stay interior. Interior Wanderlust. So you got wing pistons, something like that. I don't know what you would call that. Where? Okay, I'm gonna go to Google. Where on an airplane do you perform wing maintenance? I don't know. You gotta be like, you gotta be kind of funky sometimes when you're researching for writing. One of the constant jokes you'll hear from any writers is that "Huh, my search history, I don't know if the FBI is coming for me or not. It's a really convenient cover if the FBI actually is coming for you. But I mean, let's be real here. They're not coming for me. I'm some nobody. Which is cool. That's how I like it. Um, you know what? We're not gonna go interior wings. We're gonna go exterior Wanderlust, uh, wing joint. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Well, first draft. Honestly, this is the first draft. This is kind of what we're doing. The idea is to get the words down. You can go in the second draft, specify, clarify, add details, remove stuff. You're going to on a second draft because your first draft is going to be trash. The point of this exercise is to get these words down. Maybe in the future we'll do a revision series where I go through and actually clean this up, but that's not the point of what we're doing right now. Let's see. Elm uh, Elm hangs from a hammock. I don't know, scaffold. Hangs from a scaffold and uh, inspects the wing. Inspects the joint where the wings join the body. Elm says, let's see. I mean, wings check. Uh, final inspection finished. Like I said, no, no question mark. Dodd. I say Dodd spoke. Yeah, in Descending Stone. We're gonna have everybody speak in Descending Stone. Levels reading normal captain, all clear for ignition. Elm. How are the wings? Final check on the wings. Elm hangs. No, and Elm's not going to be hanging from a scaffold. Elm's going to be balancing on the wing struts. Elm. Exterior. Wanderlust. Deck. There we go. Exterior. Wanderlust. Wings. Elm rises. Elm crouches. Impossibly crouches, comma, impossibly balanced on the tip of the Wanderlust wing strut. She rises to a stand and nimbly prances, nimbly walks back to the ship. Wing fabric, struts, joints all clear. And then exterior Wanderlust helm, because Dodd is moving from the helm, moving across. Yeah, Dodd makes his place at the wheel. And we're going to go up here and add in a little bit. Dodd moves. Dodd swings around the cabin, and takes the deck stairs two at a time in dramatic fashion. And this is the part where the music starts to kind of like it's starting to go underwhelm, like dun, 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 whatever. I don't know. Dodd takes his place at the wheel. Dodd, Harlock, Marion, matrices, sigil work, crystal, nah. Weapons, all check. Interior, Wanderlust, guts. Yeah, why not? We'll call it the guts because this is a ship with a lot of arcane stuff in there. And I'm seeing one of these mages. Harlock is probably done out in like robes and very, very magical attire. And Marion, originally the idea was that they wore very similar magic garb, but I like the idea of Marion being more mechanically prone and adept. So Marion is probably wearing like overalls and like a dirty undershirt, and one of the overalls is kind of like buttoned back, and they have a arcana wrench or whatever you want to call it. Let's see. Interior Wanderlust guts. Harlock and Marion. Okay, no. Harlock pages through their spell book. in front of the engine crystal. Harlock. Let's see. Spell levels reading normal, Captain. Marion uh, taps a pressure. No, Marion stands nearby Nebri, nearby surrounded by metal pipes. Sweat beads on her forehead. Between her horns, because we got to establish that they have horns because they're part demon. In her horns, she taps, she tightens a pipe with her wrench. She taps a pressure gauge. Marion. Pressure, no, what are we saying? Lay pressure, sigil pressure. She tightens a pipe with her wrench, and arcane sigils glow along its length, then fade. All right, there we go. We're gonna do lay pipes running at optimal uh, efficiency. It's efficiency cap. Exterior Wanderlust helm. God adjusts some leathers, some levers. The wings of the Wanderlust fan out behind. No, the Wanderlust. There's some levers. God. And they're all speaking into sending stones. This is something that I'm going to fix in a second draft, is to make sure that all of the stage directions, I guess, are appropriate. They're all speaking into sending stones, which are effectively just D&D versions of communication implants, because it's just easier. And these guys are like, I think I decided they have just hit 5th level, so all of them having magic sending stones is pretty understandable. God. All right, friends, let's get this lady in the air. That tower ain't gonna loot itself. It's a bad line, but all of these are bad lines until you fix them in a second draft. Exterior, skyship, docks, the Wanderlust engines light up. The ship rises from its cradle. Its wings fan out behind it. God navigates it out the hangar doors and into the sky. Wanderlust is off. Cool. All right, next, so we can do some other scene stuff. Let's see. So we've got the Wanderlust flying off. What else do we have to do? See, this is part of the issue of writing. Sometimes people have an easier time doing the beginning. Sometimes people have an easier time doing the end. The middle is the boring part. The middle is the part where you have to like work on character stuff. You have to put in your action. You have to deal with all the relationship drama or whatever. You have to write stuff that isn't just the exciting opening or the ideally satisfying climax, which is an issue in and of itself. So let's see what I have on my outline, because I also have another window open. I outline pretty heavily. One thing I have found that has again and again been confirmed for me is that I am a better writer when I outline heavily. It's nothing to worry. It's not a big deal. I find that knowing where I'm going to go, even if I veer off that, really helps me kind of like stay focused, because otherwise I just kind of lose interest when I don't know what to do next. So we've got the Wanderlust taken off. Let's see. So let's do no. Hmm. This is also the part where you realize that this show concept, or at least this placeholder episodes, are purely placeholders because this isn't exactly thrilling to watch someone get stuck writing something. So if you're hanging out, I appreciate it. So let's see. My outline at this point, they have realized. Okay, cool. Exterior, sky, not skyship. There we go. Day. The wanderlust zooms over the landscape. Greyhawk diminishes in the rear view. Uh, Wildlife scatters at the ship's passing shadow. Exterior, wanderlust, wanderlust, wanderlust helm. Let's see. Elm climbs the stairs and joins Dodd at the wheel. Elm. Dodd. No. She doesn't call him by name. She doesn't call him by name. Of course not. Um, we may have a problem. Dodd. What's that? And then Elm says, "No, I don't like. We may have a problem in writing. It's kind of playing the pronoun game where it's like, sir, he's here." And it's like, oh, okay. And then it's just a mystery for the person there. But it does serve it's an intro line. It gets you in the door. We may have a problem. What's that? Um, Another ship has been. We're being tailed. She's not. Doesn't use a passive voice. Um, Another ship tailing us, not far behind. Dodd. Benediction, because Blackburn and Blackburn's Benediction is like the rival ship. Elm doesn't match the profile. Sleeker, smaller, but still roughly our size. Dodd. Gaining. Elm. They're hanging back, but they weren't there a few minutes ago. Dodd. Keeping. All right. Thanks. Keep an eye out. Let me know if we. No. Keep an eye out. Shout if we need to take up stations. And then we're going to lead into an action scene. And I think I'm going to call it there. Usually I do an hour of these things, but I went into this without really having a refresher. So I'm going to cut this short briefly. But you just saw us write about, let's see, 6, 7, 38, about 3 pages worth of screenplay right here, which isn't bad. Well, 3 pages as of like how large this text is. Not a huge deal. I made the text big for you guys because I know that it's hard to see on stream. This is what it looks like at 100% size. Still 2.5 pages, not bad. So that's kind of that's just a real brief sample of what it's like to write a screenplay. Oh, right. That closes my screen share when I close the tab. But that's what it's like. The idea is that you need to get your words down. That's the goal. I just did, if you know National Novel Writing Month, you write 50,000 words in 30 days. The idea there is to get the words down. It's important just to get a first draft because if you don't have a first draft, you can't revise. And if you don't revise, nobody's going to buy it or read it. Yeah, I hope these are helpful in some way. Again, writing is just putting words together on a page. It is taking what you can kind of envision and putting it down, and the structure will come with time, ideally. Tune in, let's see, next week. Ideally, we'll be doing a normal show. We're doing Deadbeat, which is where we're expanding on our demon-possessed cop idea. It's turning out pretty fun, and again, that is something that we are going to turn into an actual screenplay at some point. You can tune into all of our Some Nobody stuff. Just Google Some Nobodies. Our names show up all the time. Silicon Angels, a podcast show, Twitch and Upstream every Tuesday. We've got The Real Boys wrapping up, usually Mondays and or Fridays. We've got No Time to Binge coming back at some point. You can listen to our commentary on Lovecraft Country if you're just getting into that show, or you miss us. And of course, CYOP..eal, which is the branch and storyline podcast where every episode leads to several different episodes. You have to choose which story you're going to follow. This has been, I've been Dylan. I'm not as good at doing the outro as Zach is, because he's the better talker of the two of us. Hopefully he'll be here next week after getting his rest. And we'll see you next time. Sometime, I'm sure. Whenever. Bye.